The awakening. The hiss of escaping gas filled the chamber as the cryopod's seal broke. Mist billowed out, obscuring the figure within. For a moment, all was still. Then, a hand emerged from the fog, grasping the edge of the pod. Commander Aria Chen took her first breath in over 200 years, her lungs burning as they filled with the unfamiliar air of Novus Prime. She blinked away the ice crystals that had formed on her eyelashes, her vision slowly coming into focus. The stark white walls of the stasis chamber greeted her, illuminated by the soft blue glow of emergency lighting. As Aria's mind cleared, the weight of her mission crashed down upon her. She was humanity's last hope, sent across the stars to establish a new home for their species. Earth, ravaged by climate disasters and resource depletion, could no longer sustain human life. The Exodus Project was their final gambit, a desperate attempt to ensure the survival of their kind. With trembling legs, Aria climbed out of the cryopod. Her muscles, atrophied from centuries of disuse, protested every movement. But there was no time for weakness. She had a job to do. System, status report, Aria croaked, her voice hoarse from disuse. A holographic display flickered to life before her. Welcome, Commander Chen. Cryostasis successfully terminated. Ship systems operating at 89% efficiency. Colonization modules intact. Warning: unexpected atmospheric composition detected on planet's surface. Aria frowned. Their long-range scans had indicated Novus Prime was habitable, but clearly something was amiss. She made her way to the command center, each step becoming steadier as her body remembered how to move. The ship's view screen came to life, revealing a landscape that took Aria's breath away. Rolling hills covered in vibrant purple vegetation stretched as far as the eye could see. Twin moons hung low in the burnt orange sky, casting an otherworldly glow across the alien terrain. "It's beautiful," Aria whispered, allowing herself a moment of awe before snapping back to the task at hand. System: begin revival sequence for the primary colonization team. As the ship hummed to life around her, Aria felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. 5,000 colonists slumbered in the holds below, their lives in her hands. They were the seeds of a new human civilization, carefully selected for their skills, genetic diversity, and resilience. Over the next few hours, Aria worked tirelessly to prepare for the awakening of her team. She reviewed mission parameters, checked equipment status, and studied the latest data on their new home. The unexpected atmospheric readings worried her, but they had come too far to turn back now. The first of her team to awaken was Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the mission's chief scientist. The petite woman stumbled out of her cryopod, her usually immaculate black hair a mess of tangles. Commander Yuki said, snapping to attention despite her disorientation. Status: Aria helped her colleague to a nearby seat. "We've arrived at Novus Prime, but there are some anomalies we need to address. How soon can you be ready to begin surface analysis?" Yuki's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. "Give me an hour to get my bearings and assemble my team. We'll have preliminary data for you by day's end." As more of the primary team awakened, the ship buzzed with activity. Engineers ran diagnostics on the colonization equipment. Medical staff prepared for the gradual revival of the remaining colonists. Security personnel established perimeters and protocols for their first forays onto the planet's surface. Aria stood at the center of it all, coordinating efforts and making rapid-fire decisions. This was what she had trained for her entire life, to lead humanity into a new era on a distant world. By the time Novus Prime's sun began to set, casting brilliant hues of red and gold across the alien landscape, Aria had a clearer picture of their situation. Yuki's team had confirmed that while the atmosphere was breathable, its composition was significantly different from their projections. The planet's flora seemed to produce exotic compounds that interacted with the air in unexpected ways. "It's not immediately dangerous," Yuki explained, gesturing to the data scrolling across her tablet. "But long-term exposure, we just don't know what it might do to human physiology." Arya nodded, her mind racing through potential solutions. Options. We can synthesize supplements to counteract any negative effects, Yuki suggested. And given time, we might be able to engineer crops that thrive in this environment while providing the nutrients we need. It wasn't ideal, but it was workable. Humanity had overcome greater challenges in its history. They would adapt. They always did. As night fell on their first day on Novus Prime, Arya gathered her primary team in the ship's conference room. Faces both determined and anxious looked back at her, waiting for direction. "I won't sugarcoat this," Arya began, her voice steady and confident. "We've encountered our first major hurdle, and it certainly won't be our last. But we are the products of millions of years of human evolution, the descendants of those who crossed oceans, conquered mountains, and reached for the stars. We carry within us the indomitable spirit of humanity." She paused, making eye contact with each team member. "We didn't come this far to fail now. Tomorrow, we take our first steps on our new home. We'll face whatever challenges arise with courage, ingenuity, and the unbreakable bonds of our shared heritage. Together, we will not just survive, we will thrive." A ripple of determination spread through the room. Backs straightened, chins lifted, and a fire kindled in every eye. They were ready. As the meeting adjourned and her team dispersed to make final preparations, Arya remained behind, gazing out at the alien world that was to be their new home. The unknown stretched out before them, full of both promise and peril. But as she watched the unfamiliar constellations wheel overhead, Arya felt a surge of hope. This was humanity's second chance, their opportunity to build a better world from the ground up, and they would seize it with both hands. Little did Arya know that their greatest challenge was yet to come, for they were not alone on Novus Prime, and their arrival had not gone unnoticed. As the humans slept through their first night on the alien world, other eyes watched, and other minds pondered the significance of these strange new creatures that had fallen from the sky. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shape the destiny of two species and test the very limits of human resilience and ingenuity. First contact. The first light of Novus Prime's alien sun had barely crested the horizon when Commander Arya Chen led the initial expedition team out of the ship. The air was thick with an unfamiliar sweetness, a byproduct of the planet's unique vegetation. Arya's boots sank slightly into the soft, violet-hued soil as she took her first steps on humanity's new home. "Remember," she called out to her team, "we're here to observe and collect samples. No unnecessary risks." Dr. Yuki Tanaka was already crouched down, scooping soil into analysis containers. "Commander, the mineral composition here is fascinating. It's unlike anything we've seen before." As the team spread out, each focused on their assigned tasks, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She scanned the undulating purple landscape, seeing nothing but the gently swaying alien flora. Still, years of training had honed her instincts, and right now, those instincts were screaming that something was off. "Security team, stay alert," she murmured into her comm unit. "I've got a bad feeling about this." No sooner had the words left her mouth than the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. At first, it was barely perceptible, but within seconds, the vibrations intensified to a violent shaking. "Earthquake," someone shouted. Arya opened her mouth to respond, but the words died in her throat as she watched in disbelief as the ground itself seemed to come alive. The violet soil rippled and churned, and from its depths emerged a colossal form. It rose like a mountain given life, a being of living stone and crystal. Its body was a patchwork of purple earth and glittering minerals, pulsing with an inner light that spoke of alien biology far beyond human understanding. Multiple limbs unfurled from its mass, each easily the size of their ship. At its center, a cluster of crystalline structures pulsed with energy, reminiscent of eyes. The humans stood frozen, their minds struggling to comprehend the impossible sight before them. Arya was the first to snap out of the shocked trance. "Fall back," she shouted, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. Back to the ship now. Her words galvanized the team into action. They turned and ran, their carefully collected samples forgotten in the face of this unprecedented threat. Arya brought up the rear, ensuring everyone made it to safety. As they reached the ship's entrance, a resonant vibration filled the air. It took Arya a moment to realize that the sound was coming from the colossal being. The vibrations coalesced into a pattern, almost like speech. Yuki, who had paused at the entrance, turned to Arya with wide eyes. "Commander, I think it's trying to communicate." Before Arya could respond, tendrils of energy shot out from the crystalline eyes of the being. They enveloped the humans in a soft, pulsing light. Arya tensed, expecting pain, but instead felt a strange sensation in her mind, as if something or someone was reaching out to make contact. And then, impossibly, she heard a voice in her head. Not in any language she knew, but somehow she understood. "Welko, me, Sci-Fi, Len, Dadu, are the reform as." The voice was alien, multifaceted, like a chorus of minds speaking as one. Arya struggled to form a coherent thought in response. We come in peace," she projected, unsure if the being could understand her. "We seek a new home." There was a pause, and Arya felt as if her entire being was being examined, every memory, every thought laid bare. "Your kind is new," the voice responded. "Different. We have not encountered such as you in our long vigil." Arya's mind raced. These beings, had clearly been on Novus Prime long before they arrived. Had they made a terrible mistake in coming here? "We didn't know this world was inhabited," Arya thought frantically. "We can leave if—" "No," the voice interrupted. "You are interesting. We would learn of you." The lights surrounding them pulsed, and suddenly, Arya found herself and her team transported to a vast underground chamber. The walls glittered with the same crystalline structures they had seen on the surface being. All around them, smaller versions of the colossal entity moved about, their forms fluid and ever-changing. "Welcome to the heart of Novus Prime," the voice resonated in their minds. "We are the terraformers, shapers of worlds, guardians of life. For eons we have cultivated this planet, nurturing its evolution. And now you have arrived, a new variable in our great experiment." Arya struggled to process this information. These beings weren't just inhabitants of Novus Prime. They were its creators, its caretakers. The implications were staggering. What do you want from us?" she managed to ask. The crystalline structures pulsed with light. "We wish to understand. Your kind is unlike any we have encountered. You shape your environment with tools, not thought. You are limited, yet you have crossed the stars." Arya felt a mixture of awe and indignation at being called limited. She straightened her back, determination flooding through her. "We may not be able to shape worlds with our minds," she projected firmly, "but humanity has overcome every obstacle in its path. We've survived catastrophes, built civilizations, and yes, reached the stars. We came here looking for a new home, but we're not helpless. We have knowledge, skills, and a will to survive that has carried us through our darkest hours." There was a ripple of something akin to surprise in the alien consciousness. "Interesting. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we first perceived." Suddenly, the chamber filled with holographic images, scenes of Earth's history, from ancient civilizations to modern marvels, to the environmental disasters that had driven them to the stars. "We have seen your world through your memories," the terraformers communicated. "You have much to learn about balance, about nurturing life rather than consuming it." Arya felt a pang of shame at humanity's failures, but also a surge of pride in their resilience. "We've made mistakes," she admitted, "but we've learned from them. That's why we're here, to start anew, to do better." There was a long pause, filled with a sense of deep contemplation. Finally, the voice spoke again. We pose an change. We will allow you to settle on Novus Prime to build your new home. In return, you will share your knowledge, your creativity, your humanity. Aria's heart raced. This was more than they could have hoped for, not just a new home, but the chance to learn from an ancient, incredibly advanced species. And the voice continued, you will help us face a threat that looms over all life in this sector of the galaxy. With those words, new images filled the chamber, visions of a dark force moving between the stars, consuming worlds, extinguishing life. Aria felt a chill run down her spine as she realized that humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. As the images faded, Aria looked at her team. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination and a growing excitement at the possibilities before them. She turned her thoughts back to the terraformers. We accept, she projected firmly. We'll build our home here, and we'll face this threat together. Humanity has always risen to its greatest heights when confronted with adversity. We won't let you down. The crystalline structures pulsed with a warm light, and Aria felt a sense of approval wash over her. Then, let us begin, the terraformers responded. There is much to do, and the enemy draws ever closer. As Aria and her team were transported back to their ship, she knew that everything had changed. They had come seeking a simple home, but have found themselves thrust onto a galactic stage, partners with an unimaginably ancient and powerful species. The real work was just beginning. They had to prepare their people, establish their colony, and get ready for a war unlike any humanity had ever faced. But as Aria looked at the determined faces of her team, she felt a surge of hope. Humanity had been reborn among the stars, and they would show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The Alliance. In the months that followed first contact, Novus Prime became a hive of activity. The human colonists, now fully awakened from cryosleep, worked tirelessly to establish their new home. Under Aria's leadership, they built a settlement that blended seamlessly with the alien landscape, using materials and designs suggested by the terraformers to minimize their impact on the planet's delicate ecosystem. Dr. Yuki Tanaka and her team of scientists worked around the clock, collaborating with the terraformers to unlock the secrets of Novus Prime's unique biology. They made breakthrough after breakthrough, developing new medicines, sustainable energy sources, and agricultural techniques that allowed humans to thrive in their new environment. But even as the colony flourished, the looming threat of the cosmic enemy, which the terraformers called the Void, cast a long shadow over their achievements. One evening, as Aria stood on the balcony of the newly constructed command center, gazing at the alien sunset, she felt the familiar presence of the terraformers' collective consciousness touch her mind. Aria of Earth. We must speak. She'd had grown accustomed to these mental conversations over the past months, but the urgency in the terraformers' tone sent a chill down her spine. What is it? She thought back. The Void approaches, faster than we anticipated. We must excel, arrate our preparations. Aria's heart raced. How long do we have? By your Mie, sure of time. Perhaps one solar cycle of this world. A year. They had a year to prepare for a threat that had the terraformers, beings who had shaped worlds for eons, deeply concerned. Tell me what we need to do, Aria projected, her mind already racing with plans and contingencies. The next day, Aria called an emergency meeting of the colony's leadership. As she explained the situation, she could see the fear in her eyes, but also the determination that had carried humanity across the stars. We faced extinction before, Aria reminded them. On Earth, we stood on the brink, our world dying around us. But we didn't give up. We reached for the stars, and we found not just a new home, but new allies. Now we have a chance to repay that cosmic debt, to stand not just for humanity, but for all life in this sector of the galaxy. She turned to Dr. Tanaka. Yuki, I need you and your team to work with the terraformers. They have technologies beyond our comprehension. See what we can adapt, what we can use. Yuki nodded, her eyes gleaming with the challenge. We're on it, Commander. Marcus, Aria addressed the head of engineering. We need to retrofit our ship. The terraformers have provided specs for weapons that can hurt the void. I need them operational yesterday. Marcus grinned, cracking his knuckles. Time to show these cosmic horrors what human ingenuity can do. As the meeting adjourned, each member hurrying off to their tasks, Aria felt a swell of pride. This was humanity at its best, faced with an impossible challenge, yet rising to meet it head-on. Over the next months, Novus Prime became a fortress world. The terraformers reshaped the planet's crust, creating natural defenses that could repel even the most determined invader. Human engineers worked alongside them, integrating their technology with the planet's new geography. Dr. Tanaka's team made a critical breakthrough, finding a way to synthesize the energy that the terraformers used to shape matter. It wasn't as powerful, but it allowed them to create weapons and shields that could stand against the void's otherworldly attacks. But their greatest achievement came from an unexpected source. Lisa Chen, a young colonist with a passion for music, discovered that certain harmonics could disrupt the void's energy patterns. Working with the terraformers, they developed a system of planetary resonators that could create a symphony of defensive power. As the projected arrival of the void drew near, Aria stood before the assembled colonists. The fear was palpable, but so was the resolve. I won't lie to you, she began. The fight ahead will be unlike anything humanity has ever faced. But look around you. Look at what we've built here, what we've achieved in partnership with the terraformers. We came to Novus Prime seeking a new home, and we found so much more. We found purpose. We found the chance to stand for something greater than ourselves. She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the crowd. Each of you has a role to play in the coming battle. Whether you're manning the defenses, supporting our allies, or keeping our community running, you are all essential. Remember, we're not just fighting for our own survival, but for every living thing in this sector of the galaxy. A cheer went up from the colonists, a sound of defiance against the encroaching darkness. As the assembly dispersed, Aria felt the familiar touch of the terraformers' consciousness. Your kind continues to, sir, praise us, they communicated. In our long exis tense, we have never encountered beings with such adaptability. Aria smiled. It's what we do best. When pushed to our limits, humanity finds a way to push back. We have learned much from you, the terraformers continued. Perhaps, in combining our strengths, we will find the key to defeat in the void once and for all. As the first signs of the void's approach began to appear in Novus Prime's skies, strange distortions in the starlight, unexplainable energy readings, Aria felt a mix of fear and anticipation. The greatest test of humanity's resilience was about to begin. She thought back to Earth, to the dying world they had left behind. They had come so far, achieved so much. Now, they stood as the first line of defense against a threat to all life in the galaxy. Aria squared her shoulders, a fierce determination burning in her eyes. Whatever the void brought, humanity would face it. They would fight, they would endure, and they would prove to the cosmos that their spirit could not be extinguished. As alarms began to sound across the colony, signaling the imminent arrival of the enemy, Aria took a deep breath. The battle for Novus Prime, and perhaps the fate of the galaxy, was about to begin. The great challenge. The sky above Novus Prime churned with unnatural energies as the void made its presence known. What began as pinpricks of absolute darkness against the starry backdrop soon coalesced into a roiling mass of nothingness that defied the laws of physics. It was as if reality itself was being unmade at the edges of their world. Arya stood in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the encroaching threat from every angle. The terraformer's consciousness hummed at the edge of her mind, a constant presence providing real-time updates and strategic insights. All defense systems online, Marcus reported, his fingers dancing across multiple interfaces. Resonators are at full power, and our retrofitted ships are in position. Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled over the comms. The bioshields are holding stable. If the Void's energy signature changes, we can adapt on the fly. Arya nodded, her face a mask of concentration. Remember, people were not just defending. We need to find a way to push them back, to hurt them enough that they'll think twice before attacking another world. As if in response to her words, the Void launched its first assault. Tendrils of darkness lashed out from the main mass, each one capable of annihilating matter on contact. They slammed against the planet's defenses, creating a spectacular light show as energy shields flared to life. The resonators kicked in, their harmonics vibrating through the very core of Novus Prime. The sound was felt more than heard, a bone-deep hum that seemed to strengthen reality itself against the Void's attempts to unravel it. For a moment, it seemed as though their preparations would be enough. The Void's initial attack was repelled, its tendrils recoiling from the unexpected resistance. But then the enemy adapted. New forms emerged from the writhing mass of darkness, creatures that defied description, a nightmarish blend of cosmic horror and cold logic. They slipped through gaps in the energy shields, their very existence a contradiction that confused the defense systems. "We've got ground contacts," shouted the security chief. I don't even know how to describe what they're doing, but they're tearing through our outer perimeter." Arya's mind raced. They had prepared for this possibility, but seeing it unfold was another matter entirely. "Deploy the response teams," she ordered, "and get me a direct line to the terraformers. We need to coordinate our efforts." As chaos erupted across the colony, with defensive forces engaging the Void entities in close-quarters combat, Arya felt a surge of desperation. They were holding their own, but just barely. If they couldn't find a way to turn the tide soon, Novus Prime would fall, and with it, humanity's last hope. It was in this moment of crisis that Lisa Chen, the young musician whose discoveries had been crucial to their defenses, burst into the command center. "Commander," she shouted, out of breath. "I think I found something. The Void, it's not just destroying, it's consuming. Energy, matter, information, it's all being absorbed into its mass. But there's a pattern to it, a rhythm." Arya's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "You think we can disrupt it, like we did with the resonators?" Lisa nodded fervently. "But we need more power, more coordination. We need to turn the entire planet into one massive instrument, and we need the terraformers to play it." It was an audacious plan, perhaps even a desperate one. But as Arya looked at the battle raging around them, she knew they had no choice but to try. "Terraformers," she projected her thoughts. "Did you get all that?" The response came immediately. "We understand. It is unorthodox, but possible. We will need all of your people's strength." Arya took a deep breath, then opened a channel to the entire colony. "Listen up, everyone. We're about to try something that's never been done before. We're going to sing to the Void, and we need every voice, every mind, every ounce of will you can muster. When you feel the terraformers call, don't fight it. Join in, add your voice to the chorus. Together, we're going to show this cosmic horror what humanity is made of." As her words echoed across Novus Prime, Arya felt the terraformer's consciousness expand, touching every human mind on the planet. And then it began. It started as a low hum, barely perceptible over the sounds of battle, but it quickly grew, resonating through the planet's core, vibrating in every cell of every living thing. The terraformers were conducting a symphony on a planetary scale, with every human, every blade of alien grass, every particle of air playing a part. Arya felt herself swept up in the music, her very being becoming a note in this grand composition. Through the shared consciousness, she could feel every colonist joining in, their fears, hopes, and determination blending into a harmony of defiance against the darkness. The effect on the void was immediate and dramatic. Its amorphous mass writhed in apparent agony, the entities it had sent to the surface dissolving into nothingness. The tendrils of darkness recoiled, trying to retreat from the onslaught of sound and will. But they didn't stop there. Arya, the terraformers, and every human on Novus Prime pushed harder. The planet itself seemed to sing, cosmic harmonies reverberating through space. The void, for the first time in its unfathomable existence, knew pain, it knew fear. As the crescendo built to its peak, a blinding light erupted from Novus Prime, expanding outward in a shockwave of pure creation. Where it touched the void, the darkness was not just pushed back, it was transformed. In the span of a few breathtaking moments, the enemy that had threatened all life in the sector was gone, replaced by swirling nebulae of newborn stars. As the light faded and the song slowly died away, Arya found herself on her knees, tears streaming down her face. Around her, the command center was filled with shocked, exhausted, but jubilant faces. Did we just sing the void out of existence? Marcus asked, his voice filled with awe. Before Arya could respond, the terraformer's voice echoed in all their minds. You have done more than that. You have shown us the true power of your kind. In harmony with the universe. You are a force of Kree, patient unlike any we have ever known. As the implications of what they had achieved began to sink in, Arya realized that this was more than just a victory. It was a transformation. Humanity had not just found a new home among the stars, they had found their place in the cosmic order. The battle was over, but their journey, their evolution, was just beginning. And as Arya looked out at the newly born stars twinkling in the sky where the void had once been, she knew that the universe would never be the same again. Turning the tide, in the days following the miraculous defeat of the void, a palpable sense of awe and disbelief permeated the colony on Novus Prime. Humans and terraformers alike struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what they had accomplished together. The skies above their world, once threatened by all-consuming darkness, now shimmered with the light of newborn stars, a cosmic testament to the power of their united will. Commander Arya Chen found herself at the center of it all, hailed as a hero by her people and regarded with newfound respect by the terraformers. But as the initial euphoria began to fade, she knew that their work was far from over. We may have won the battle, Arya addressed her senior staff, but we need to understand what we've done and what it means for our future. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her eyes alight with scientific curiosity, nodded in agreement. The harmonics we generated didn't just propel the void, they fundamentally altered its structure. We've essentially discovered a way to reshape reality itself. The implications were staggering. Humanity, in partnership with the terraformers, now wielded a power that could remake the cosmos. It was a responsibility that weighed heavily on Arya's mind. As if sensing her thoughts, the collective voice of the terraformers resonated in the room. The universe has changed. The balance of creation and destruction has shifted. We must guide this new era with wisdom. Arya nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. We need to establish some sort of cosmic governance, a way to ensure this power is used responsibly. Over the next months, Novus Prime became a hub of frenetic activity. Scientists from every discipline worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of their newfound abilities. Engineers began designing technologies that could harness the planet-wide harmonics on a smaller, more controllable scale. And diplomats, a profession that had seemed unnecessary on their isolated colony, now worked to forge a framework for interstellar cooperation with the terraformers. But it wasn't just the practical aspects of their victory that occupied the colonists. The experience of joining in a planet-wide consciousness, of feeling their individual wills unite into something greater, had profoundly affected every human on Novus Prime. Lisa Chen, the young musician whose insights had been crucial to their victory, found herself at the forefront of a new movement. "We touched something fundamental," she explained to Aria one evening. "A connection to each other and to the universe itself. People are calling it the harmony." The harmony became both a philosophical concept and a practical tool. Colonists found that by tapping into even a fraction of what they had experienced during the battle, they could achieve feats of healing, creation, and understanding that bordered on the miraculous. As news of their victory spread to other worlds tended by the terraformers, delegations began to arrive on Novus Prime. Alien species, some so different from humans that communication seemed impossible at first, came seeking to understand and learn from what had happened. Aria watched with a mixture of pride and trepidation as her small colony became the center of a burgeoning galactic community. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the potential. "We came here looking for a new home," she mused to Dr. Tanaka as they watched a group of colonists demonstrating the basics of the harmony to a fascinated alien delegation. "Instead, we found a new purpose for all of humanity." Yuki nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's like we've been given a second chance, not just for our species, but for life itself. The question is, what do we do with it?" The answer to that question began to take shape in the form of the Cosmic Accord, a set of principles and guidelines for the use of the reality-shaping powers they now possessed. Representatives from every species affected by the Void's defeat gathered on Novus Prime to debate and refine the document. Aria found herself at the center of these negotiations, her experiences and leadership during the battle making her a respected voice among both humans and aliens. It was a role she had never imagined for herself, but one she embraced with characteristic determination. As the Cosmic Accord neared completion, a new challenge arose. The newborn stars created from the Void's destruction were behaving erratically, their development accelerated by the lingering effects of the harmony. Several were on the verge of premature collapse, threatening nearby systems. "This is our first test," Aria declared to the assembled representatives. "We have the power to shepherd these stars, to guide their development, but it will take all of us, working in concert, to succeed." What followed was an unprecedented feat of cooperation. Guided by the terraformers' eons of experience and empowered by the harmony, the combined will of a dozen species reached out across the cosmos. They sang to the stars, their united consciousness weaving gravitational fields and solar winds into stable patterns. For those participating, it was a transcendent experience. Aria found her awareness expanded beyond anything she had ever imagined, touching the hearts of suns and feeling the ebb and flow of stellar life cycles. Through the harmony, she sensed the awe and wonder of her alien counterparts, their unique perspectives blending with her own to create a symphony of cosmic understanding. When it was over, when the last unstable star had been calmed and set on a path of natural development, a profound silence fell over the gathering on Novus Prime. It was broken by the resonant thoughts of the terraformers. "This is but the beginning. Together, we have set foot on a path that will reshape the very nature of existence." As Aria looked out at the assembled beings, human and alien, physical and energy-based, ancient and newborn, she felt a swell of emotion that defied description. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or mere survivors, but as partners in a grand cosmic dance. The future stretched out before them, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But whatever came next, Aria knew that they would face it together, in harmony with each other and the universe itself. As the representatives began to disperse, filled with a renewed sense of purpose and unity, Aria turned her gaze to the star-filled sky above Novus Prime. Somewhere out there, Earth still existed, the home world they had left behind, and she wondered if, someday, they might return, not to reclaim it, but to heal it, to bring the lessons and the harmony they had discovered to the cradle of humanity. But that was a challenge for another day. For now, there was work to be done, a new galactic civilization to build, and a universe full of possibilities to explore. A new dawn. 5 years had passed since the defeat of the Void and the subsequent galactic awakening. Novus Prime, once a desperate refuge for the last remnants of humanity, had blossomed into the heart of a thriving interstellar community. The planet's surface was now a harmonious blend of human ingenuity, terraformer wisdom, and contributions from a dozen alien species. Commander Aria Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Harmony Council, stood atop the Unity's spire, a towering structure that served as both a symbol of their achievements and a focal point for their continued explorations of the Harmony. As she gazed out at the bustling cityscape below, Aria reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. The colony had grown beyond all expectations, with gleaming towers of crystal and living metal stretching towards the sky. Between them, vast gardens of earth plants mingled with alien flora, creating ecosystems that defied traditional categorization. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Yuki Tanaka's voice broke through Aria's reverie. The scientists had aged little in the past years, a side effect of their deepening connection to the Harmony. Aria smiled at her old friend. Sometimes I still can't believe it's real. We came so close to the end, and now we're at the beginning of something greater than we ever imagined, Yuki finished for her. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime, a courtesy alert from the terraformers, who had long since learned that humans preferred some warning before mental communication. Aria of Earth, Yuki of Earth, the final preparations are complete. The two women shared a look of excitement and apprehension. Today marked the culmination of years of work, the most ambitious project undertaken since the defeat of the Void. We'll be right there, Aria responded, both verbally and mentally. They made their way to the resonance chamber at the heart of the Unity spire. As they entered, they were greeted by a sight that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. Representatives from every species in the Galactic Harmony stood in a circle, their diverse forms a testament to the variety of life in the universe. At the center, a holographic representation of Earth slowly rotated. Lisa Chen, now the lead Harmony researcher, approached them with a nervous smile. "Everything's ready, Commander. We're just waiting for your word." Aria took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. What they were about to attempt would change everything. Again, "My friends, my fellow beings of the cosmos," she addressed the gathered assembly. "Today, we embark on our greatest endeavor yet. We will reach across the vast distances of space, back to humanity's cradle. With the power of the Harmony, we will begin the healing of Earth." A ripple of excitement passed through the crowd. The terraformers' consciousness expanded, touching the minds of all present. This act will forge a new connection across the stars. It will be the first step in bringing the Harmony to all worlds touched by sentience. With a nod from Aria, Lisa began the sequence. The chamber hummed with energy as each being present added their will to the growing harmony. Aria closed her eyes, feeling the familiar sensation of her consciousness expanding beyond the confines of her physical form. Through the combined power of their united wills, amplified by the technologies they had developed, their awareness stretched across the galaxy. Aria felt the vastness of space, the cold emptiness between stars, and then a familiar blue marble came into focus. Earth, their ancestral home, scarred and wounded by centuries of exploitation and conflict, but not dead, never dead. As one, the assembled beings of the Galactic Harmony reached out. They sang to the poisoned seas and scorched lands. They whispered to dormant seeds and stubborn microbes that had weathered the worst of the planet's decline. They wove strands of the Harmony into the very fabric of Earth's biosphere. It was not an instantaneous transformation. That would have been too much, too fast. Instead, they planted the seeds of renewal, nudged failing systems back towards balance, and left echoes of the harmony that would gradually awaken the planet's remaining life to new possibilities. As their cosmic work neared completion, Aria felt a surge of emotion from her human colleagues. Through the harmony, she sensed their complex mix of joy, sorrow, hope, and longing. Earth may no longer be their home, but it would always be a part of them. With a final push of united will, they severed the connection. The assembled beings in the resonance chamber slowly came back to themselves, many blinking away tears or expressing awe in their own unique ways. It is done, the terraformers confirmed. These seeds of Earth's rebirth have been planted. Aria opened her eyes, feeling simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated. "How long?" she asked, her voice hoarse. Dr. Tanaka consulted her instruments. At the current rate of regeneration, perhaps a century before Earth could support a significant human population again. But the changes we've initiated will continue to accelerate. Life there has been given a second chance. The news was met with cheers and expressions of joy from the human contingent. But Aria's mind was already racing ahead to the next challenges. "This is just the beginning," she addressed the assembly. "Earth was our test case. Now we have a galaxy full of worlds crying out for healing, for balance. The void may be gone, but its legacy remains. Together, we can restore what was lost and nurture new wonders into being." As the gathered beings dispersed, filled with a renewed sense of purpose, Aria made her way back to the top of the Unity's spire. The twin moons of Novus Prime were rising, casting a soft glow over the landscape. She thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this point. They had faced extinction, crossed the stars, and found not just survival, but a new destiny. In partnership with the terraformers and the other sentient species of the galaxy, they were no longer merely inhabitants of the cosmos. They had become its caretakers. Aria smiled as she gazed up at the star-filled sky. The universe was vast, full of wonders and challenges they had yet to imagine. But whatever the future held, they would face it together, in harmony. As if in response to her thoughts, a shooting star streaked across the heavens, a reminder that every ending was just a new beginning. Humanity's greatest adventure was still to come.